An international team has been working on the conservation of many aspects of the 2nd century Temple of Artemis in Jerash of Jordan. A short documentary film about this project was entered into the Archaeos Film Festival. In order to learn more about this film, I interviewed with the filmmaker, Chris Boyd.
The thing I hope for most that people will be able to appreciate is that there is this not unknown site, but a lesser known site in Jordan, a place that relies pretty heavily on tourism. And Jerash is definitely a place that's in need of a different kind of tourism. And I think that the film hopefully highlights this conservation work that's going on, which is really aimed at preserving a site, a specific place in a site that is largely unknown to the kind of tourism population of Jordan. In my own work, I'm really interested in the intersection of modern communities with ancient sites. And so I hope that with this film and others like it, people can have an opportunity to see just how integral these types of ancient places, which are very ancient to outsiders, are very present to people who actually live sometimes right within these sites. And so, the Temple of Artemis is an amazing example of that. The entire city of Jerash can see it just about from the city, and so it's very real and very present for people who live with ancientness, and that's something I'm really interested in my work. This film came about because I was attached to a larger conservation project going on, in this case run by Dr. Massimo Brizzi, who is based out of Italy in the UK. That project was about the conservation of this temple, but a big component of it was public archaeology, which is a really important component of archaeological work nowadays, especially in Europe. It's really a critical component of all grant writing and grant making. And so one of the key aspects of this project was collecting a lot of interviews of all these various people involved with Jerash, the site, the modern city. And so they needed a filmmaker on board to conduct those interviews. I'm a documentarian. And then on top of that, it was on the public archaeology side, the ability to do outreach with media, which is becoming more and more important in archaeology. What I proposed along with Massimo Rizzi was to make a series of short educational pieces about the project itself. And so this film is what we consider the central film of that short series, that short collection of films. The experience with the people is really important when you're making a film like this. The site of Jerash is stewarded and protected and maintained by the Department of Antiquities in Jordan. All the work I was doing was alongside Jordanians and alongside people who live in Jerash. The series of films were about exploring the people who all have different stakes and different roles and different interests in the site. I lived on the site for over 2 months, and I spent every day out in the city and meeting lots of people, and I had a wonderful time making the films that I was working on, but I had just as good a time getting to know a lot of different people in Jerash, which is a really cool little city. I've made films at all different levels, and having a full documentary production crew is amazing, and it's the pinnacle that I think we all want to reach as documentarians. But as most documentarians know, that's not usually the case. That's typically reserved for big TV documentary series and studio-backed projects and that sort of thing. Can I handle all the aspects of the filmmaking process on my own? There were a lot of challenges like that. But when it comes to the short filmmaking side, it's about how to communicate what the project is about, what the project's trying to communicate without the entire resources that go into a big documentary, namely the researchers, the archivists, and the staff that's really responsible for collecting that material, the background material. And so, we always say, like in filmmaking, you have money and you have time, and usually there's a trade-off between those. So, in this case, with very little funding for the film itself, it just means a longer period of time and more time for me working on everything on my own. the hope of the project, really, which my filmmaking is only a part of, is that this temple, this really unique temple, will be preserved for future generations, but also the immediate generations of tourists that Jordan and other interested parties hope will come because of a place like this.
You can see the short documentary film about conservation in the 2nd century Temple of Artemis, along with many other films, in this year's Archaeos Film Festival. Please follow the web links in the video description for more information about this project and about the film festival. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.